It's Halloween, and you know what that means? It's time for my Halloween related video, because apparently that's something all YouTubers have to do. And what better type of game to talk about on such a hallowed night than horror games? And what better horror game to talk about than Penumbra? The answer? Probably many, but seeing that I can count the amount of horror games I've played on one hand, my choice was rather limited. Overture was the first in the 3-part Penumbra series and was released in 2007 by Frictional Games. You know, the same people who made Amnesia, that game that some people call one of the scariest of all time. Oh boy, I'm getting myself into a world of scares by playing this game, aren't I? Upon starting a new game, you are then treated to a slideshow of still images and a voiceover which tells the events that led up to the game.
A few days after Mum's funeral, it was the first I'd ever heard from him. Pity he was dead. Writing from beyond the grave must be a genetic habit in my bloodline.
Riveting. The writing is solid, and though it isn't presented very excitingly, it gets the job done. The main gist of it is that there's a guy called Philip who got a letter from his dead dad saying to burn some stuff and never think about it, but Philip, being the rebellious and curious dingus he is, decides to go against his father's word and reads the documents, eventually travelling to Greenland in order to uncover the truth behind his father's mysterious past and the purpose of the documents. Yep, I don't see how this plan could fail at all. It's a fairly original story and acts as a nice base for the rest of the game to build up from in terms of narrative and gameplay locations. The gameplay locations varying from dark bunker to slightly darker bunker. You start off in a small cabin in a ship as the game subtly tells you some of the game's controls. This place acts as a tutorial area for the player to get used to the controls, and luckily the tutorial literally consists of this one room, so it is over with quickly. You also get to sample the game's physics engine, and for reasons I cannot describe, it is just so much fun swinging around objects like an absolute lunatic and generally just arsing about. Guess you gotta find some way to entertain yourself when you're shitting yourself in a scary game. Anyone familiar with Amnesia will feel right at home with this gameplay, as it is pretty much identical, right down to the way you open and close doors, which I really enjoy doing for some reason. I think I might just be easily amused. In this room you also get your two main sources of light, the torch and the glow stick. The torch is obviously the best at lighting your path, but it may as well just be a converted Sega Game Gear, as it drains batteries ridiculously fast. The glow stick lights up the way less well and makes everything a spooky tint of green, but it never runs out. There are also flares you can get, but you can't actually carry them around as they're turned on and only really act as a source of light in a stationary area, which would be great if you didn't have to be constantly moving from location to location. Next, you enter a snowy area where you are placed in a position where you have to find some shelter before you freeze to death, but you need to use your wits to solve a small puzzle in order to get into the bunker. It adds some stress to the gameplay and certainly adds some excitement, but to be honest, this game hasn't really been that scary yet. Almost instantly, the tone of the game changes from a bright and well-lit area to a dark and foreboding location. An ominous soundtrack also begins to play, which not only helps make the game scary, it also helps turn the trousers of anyone playing the game turn a slight shade of brown. That was disgusting, I apologise. And it's amazing because nothing scary has actually happened yet, but an unnerving atmosphere has already been created in order to make the player feel frightened. Speaking of atmosphere, this game oozes it. It constantly throws little bits of scares to keep you on your toes, either in the form of the soundtrack or little glimpses of a creature. And it manages to be incredibly scary without using a single jump scare, which I applaud it for, because fuck jump scares. Anyway, now we are just going to go down the stairs to wherever that thing was. Yeah, sure, I don't see what could possibly go wrong. Alrighty, what's going on down here then? Oh god, what is that? Why are you telling me to hide? The tutorial is telling me to hide from the monster, but I don't know what it is! This part of the game is really good at making the player even more scared because they don't know what they're hiding from, other than it's making scary noises at them and it will kill them. See, this game understands something which many modern day horror games fail to. The monster is always scarier when you have no idea what it is and you can't see it. And nothing is quite so terrifying as walking in this area and then hearing the monster snarl at you somewhere and you don't know where it is or if it's going to start charging at you. If I had to describe this game with one smell, I think piss would certainly sum it up the best. And in a good way, if that makes sense. If urine can be considered good. Okay, I don't know where I was going with this. The game also realizes that monsters are more scary when you have no way of defending yourself. Your character is designed in such a way that simple tasks, such as moving, running, and opening and closing objects are smooth and efficient, whilst when you use weapons, your movements are quite stiff, which makes running away from confrontation the logical choice, as if you try to face off against the monster, chances are you will be the one who dies. Hope you like to read a lot, because in this game, large chunks of the story are told using these notes you find scattered across the game. Not all of the story by no means, but you'll get a lot more out of your experience by reading these, and at times they can really be quite terrifying. These notes are scattered across the various environments you will encounter across the game, including this set of claustrophobic rooms here. Fuck 'em. You enter, and then all you hear are scary noises. The scuttling of spiders and the moans of some unnameable object. Then you climb down the trapdoor and reach this area. Oh, fuck that. Anyway, I think that section of the video illustrates the good points of this game. It is pants-wettingly scary and immensely atmospheric, and truly understands how to frighten the player. But there are times when the game kinda falls flat for me. At times it isn't 100% clear as to what you're supposed to be doing, but these moments don't come often and the answers are usually quite clear once you have figured it out. Puzzles are thrown into the game every now and then in order to vary the gameplay, and while they are well designed and do require lots of thinking to figure out sometimes, well yeah, that's the problem, they take lots of time to figure out. And when you are solving a puzzle, the game isn't scary, so it sort of takes you away from the main purpose of the game. To conclude then, I would recommend this game to anyone who is wanting a good scare, especially if you're afraid of either spiders or enclosed spaces, because then the game will definitely be able to scare the crap out of you. I would even go as far to say in terms of pure terror I felt during the game, it was much scarier than Amnesia, though I think Amnesia manages to be the creepiest. So, what are you waiting for? Go out there, get scared, and have a very happy Halloween.